Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be. Welcome back to my channel, My Loverlies. If you've never been here before, thank you so much for clicking on my video. I am so happy you found me. I do so hope that you will like and subscribe before you leave. Become part of the Mama family. Mama's got your back, at least where makeup's concerned, and definitely when that makeup is cheap. Today is True Love Tuesday, and we are talking about such an adorable couple. We're talking about Matt Damon and his wife, Luciana. Oh my good gravy. Such an incredible story. So unexpected as well. Learned a lot with this one. Before we get started, a very special, very warm welcome to any of those that are new to my channel. I am so incredibly happy that you are here. If you enjoy the content, I do so hope that you will mash that thumbs up button. I hope that you will subscribe if you have not already. And I hope that you will ring my bell, turn on your notifications, so that way, next time I upload a video, you can come right back here and we can hang out together again. Also, my eye makeup is already done. I did make sure to film a TikTok on today's eye look just in case you're interested. It turned out very, very pretty. Guys, I will make sure to put the links for all of my other socials, Facebook, Instagram, all that good stuff in the description box below, along with a full product list of everything that I use in today's video. Guys, if you are not following me on all my other socials, you definitely should go do that. I post fun content every single day. And if you're following me everywhere, you don't have to worry about missing a single moment of it. All right, with all of that out of the way, let's go ahead and dive into today's love story. I have wanted to talk about this couple for absolute forever. Ever since I learned how they met, it's been stuck in my brain and I haven't been able to let it go. Their story is so unique. It's full of love at first sight, but there's a little bit of drama thrown in there just for fun. Guys, they met on a hot, steamy night in Miami. They locked eyes across a crowded bar, and before they knew it, both of their lives had changed forever. 4 kids, and 22 years later, they are still a shining example of true love and teamwork in Hollywood. They stay out of the papers. They stay out of trouble. There's been no cheating rumors. There's been no scandals. Like, they really did get it right. And quite honestly, they're probably one of the more normal couples I've spoken about. As always, I'll go into just a little bit of backstory, particularly on Matthew. We'll get into dating history and then get into their love story together. As always, if you see me looking over in this direction, it is because I am looking at my notes. I have about 10 pages of notes for today's video, so we're probably going to be here for a hot minute. As always, I hope that you will sit back, relax, get comfy, get cozy, get you a big old glass of something to drink, and let's go ahead and dive right in. Matt was born Matthew Page Damon on October 8th, 1970, which makes him roughly 53 years old. Now, he was born in Cambridge, Massachusetts, to father Kent Telford Damon and mother Nancy Carlson Page. Matt's father was a stockbroker, while his mother was an early childhood education professor at Lesley University. Now, Matt also has one other sibling, an older brother named Kyle, who grew up to be an artist and a sculptor, still in the artsy kind of world, just in a different direction. Now, unfortunately, his parents ended up getting divorced when Matt was around 2 years old, and as divorce usually does, it turned their world upside down. After the divorce, of course, Matt and his brother Kyle ended up going to live with their mother. And while their mother made pretty decent money, they weren't the richest of the rich. And, it's hard for a single mother. So they ended up living in a communal house with about 6 other families. Now, during this time, Nancy was very focused on work, very focused on her career. On top of that, she was very authoritative. She was very much a disciplinarian. She expected her children to listen and to behave. And all of that combined kind of made her a little bit of a cold fish. She just wasn't the most affectionate, and she wasn't the most loving mother. And because of that, it really affected both Matt and Kyle. But Matt took it the hardest, I think. On top of dealing with his parents' divorce and moving and things like that, his mom being pretty absent throughout his childhood, he also was a very, very late bloomer. One of Matt's biggest insecurities was the fact that he just didn't hit his growth spurt. He was very short. He was the shortest kid in all of his classes, and it caused quite a bit of insecurity for him. He was teased mercilessly for it. You know how mean children can be. And all of that just really led to Matt being very unhappy. He was a very unhappy child. He felt very lonely, and he felt very much like he just didn't fit in. Luckily enough for Matt, he did eventually hit that growth spurt, and he grew up to be about 5'10", which is very average, very normal for the American man. So not too shabby there. It did take him quite a bit to get there, though. Now, for about 10 years, the first 10 years of his life, he is a very sad little boy. And because of that, he kind of chooses fiction and acting. He chooses that as his escape. So he is in plays, he's in chorus, he's doing whatever he can to kind of escape his own reality. Now, luckily for this boy, at the age of 10 years old, everything changes. When Matt was 10 years old, he met a little boy who lived about 2 blocks down the road, a little boy by the name of Ben Affleck. And y'all, they were besties at first sight. They spent time together literally every single day. They were either playing baseball. Of course, they're both super fans of the Boston Red Sox. Catching a movie, that was one of their favorite activities. They'd love to go get popcorn, catch the double feature down at the theater. Also, big fans of Dungeons and Dragons. So imagine baby Matt Damon and baby Ben Affleck are just super nerds, but like super adorable super nerds. But yeah, them two were in their own little world for 99% of the time. Now, just one more thing that they both had in common was their shared love of theater, their shared love of acting. Both of these boys had the same goal. They both wanted to grow up and be movie stars. And because they shared so much in common, their bond throughout the years just grew closer and closer and closer, and they quite literally have been best friends for their entire lives. I think one of the biggest things as well is after they met, they found a little bit of support, right? Because of course, Matt's mother, she's not super supportive. She's not super involved. He doesn't really have anybody else. I'm not sure what the situation with Matt and his brother Kyle is. I really didn't find any information on it. However, I can assume they're not super close. I don't think that they have a bad relationship. I just don't think it's super close either. So he really supplemented Ben, he was that one super important relationship in Matt's life, and vice versa, I think, as well. They really lifted each other up. They really supported each other. And Ben has said multiple times that if it wasn't for Matt, he probably never would have become an actor, just because Matt was that driving force. Matt had all of the drive, he had all of the willpower, and he really pushed and made things happen. They both attended the same schools because, of course, they just live a couple of blocks apart. So they ended up in the same classes. They were both in drama, they were both in theater, and when it came to school, Ben, he was really just kind of interested in the drama and the theater, but not so much in the academic part of it. Whereas Matt was an excellent student. He was smart as a whip. Not only did he excel in his, academic classes, but he also excelled in the extracurriculars as well. Like I said, he got good grades in all of his classes, but of course, his favorite classes were drama and theater. Now, when it came to the extracurricular classes, like drama and theater, it seems like Ben maybe kind of surpassed Matt's talent, at least back in the day. Matt has said repeatedly that Ben always got the biggest parts and the longest speeches. Seems like their theater teacher really favored Ben in a big way. However, Matt has credited his high school drama teacher to being a big influence on his career. And again, Matt was that driving force. Matt was the one with all of the passion. He was the one with all of the drive, and he kind of pushed Ben along. While Matt really excelled academically at school, personally, and like when it came to his peers, y'all, they were not part of the cool crowd. They were definitely, rejects a little bit. They were called drama geeks throughout the entirety of their middle and high school careers. just not super well liked by their peers, not disliked in any way, but again, they were super into Dungeons and Dragons. They were just kind of geeks, right? Adorable little geeks, but geeks nonetheless. Now that of course ceased. That was no longer a thing once they graduated. But while they were in school, I wouldn't say they were necessarily bullied, but they were definitely not invited to all of the parties, that kind of thing. They very much kept to themselves and focused on their goals. Now, after they graduated high school, Matt went on to attend Harvard University. Like I said, smart as a whip, really gifted academically, super, super smart guy. So he went on to attend Harvard. He majored in English. And of course, while he was there, participated in the drama department, like the theater department. One of Matt's classes was a playwriting class, and of course he had to take this as part of his major. Now he was assigned he had to write a 40-plus page screenplay, so as kind of like his exit exam for this class. So he spends all year working on this screenplay, puts his heart and his soul into it. He takes inspiration from people around him, from situations of his life, and he puts it all in this 40-page manuscript. And it doesn't really have a name, but a couple years down the line, this would end up becoming Good Will Hunting. Of course, at the time of him writing that screenplay, he had no idea that it would go on to become one of his most famous movies, like ever. But, hindsight's 20/20. So he puts his heart and soul into this manuscript, gives it to the teacher likes it, he passes the class. Time goes on, and it gets to be his last year. His last year in school, he is literally 12 credits away from being a Harvard graduate. But at this point, he's done waiting, he's done wasting time, so he packs his bags, he drops out of school, and he goes and tries to really start working on his career. Greatness waits for no one, I suppose, and eventually Matt starts getting small parts here and there and begins to build his acting portfolio. Matt, of course, is an incredibly talented human being, so it didn't take long for his career to start building up a little bit of momentum. He was offered his first big screen part at the age of 18 in the film Mystic Pizza. And where Matt goes, Ben is sure to follow. The same is true for this portion of their lives. They're living together at this point. Ben isn't getting too much work, but he is being very supportive of Matt. And where Matt goes, Ben goes. Where Ben goes, Matt goes. They are a team, they are a unit, and they are supportive to each other to the end. From the very beginning of both of their careers, they have continuously worked together. They've worked together in so many different films, whether it's on camera or behind the scenes. Where Matt is, Ben is not too far away. And the first time that they worked together, I believe, was in the film School Ties that happened in 1992. And at the time of filming that movie, they were living in this piece of crap apartment right next to a literal dump. They woke up and first thing they smelt every morning was a big pile of garbage. But when they tell this story, you can just see the joy on their faces because they were on their own. They were living their dream. They were working, making movies, and life was nothing but sunshine and roses. Matt proved he had some serious acting potential at the age of 26 when he received rave reviews for his performance as a drug-addicted soldier in Courage Under Fire. Now that happened in 1996. Fun fact, did you know Matt lost about 40 pounds in 100 days for that role? 40 pounds in 100 days is a lot, especially when you don't have a lot of fat in the first place. Like, that's insane. He continued to absolutely blow people away the next year with his performance in The Rainmaker. This one was a super big hit, both at the box office and for his career. It really just kind of elevated his star-studded status quite a bit, really put him on the map and got his name out to producers that were just kind of clamoring to work with him. Matt and Ben are, of course, still living together. They're still besties. That never changes. But while Matt is out really doing movie after movie, really building up his career, Ben is at the house kind of piddling around. He is going through a bunch of old boxes one day, and this is when he stumbles across Matt's old 40-page manuscript, right? So he sits down, he gives it a good read, and he's like, wow, this is too good not to be a movie. Matt's kind of iffy about the whole situation. He's like, are you sure it's good enough? I can't figure out how to end it. I really don't know where to take the story. And Ben is like, I'll help you. We'll finish it together, and then we'll start shopping for some studios, because it's too good not to be made. Over the course of the next couple of months, Ben and Matt really put their all into this manuscript. They really focused on trying to make it as perfect as they possibly could. Now, when they were finished, they shopped it out to a couple of different studios. It ended up getting picked up and then made into the film Good Will Hunting. Now, they both starred in the film alongside Casey Affleck and Robin Williams, and they had no way of knowing that this movie would go on to become the crown jewel of their careers. Definitely was their first super major success. This movie went on to get 9 Academy Award nominations. Robin Williams ended up winning the Best Supporting Actor, while Will and Ben won an Oscar for Best Original Screenplay. Guys, it was such a big deal for both of them, and just went to show them that they were on the right path and this was where they were meant to be. Matt went on to get a bunch of different offers for movies in the next couple of years, and because of that, he continued to work steadily for the next decade. So in 1998, he did Saving Private Ryan, but then he also did Rounders. He did The Talented Mr. Ripley in 99, Dogma that same year, All the Pretty Horses in 2000, and then of course the Ocean's 11, that kind of franchise. Out of all of the movies that Matt has been in throughout his career, out of all the franchises that he has taken a part of, I do think that his most famous and most successful is definitely going to be the Bourne trilogy. So he got cast in The Bourne Identity. That absolutely was a super mega smash hit. And then he did, subsequently, he did The Bourne Ultimatum and then The Bourne Supremacy. Now, all 3 of those movies absolutely hit. Each one was just as good as the last, and it did major things for his career. Not only did it make him this mega super rock star actor, he proved that he could carry a franchise on his back alone. He proved that he had leading man potential. He was the leading man, and it made him an action hero. And again, it proved he had incredible range. So not only can he do drama and comedy, but he can also do action. He dedicated himself to those movies, absolutely ripped his body, like shredded up, just got super lean and just super athletic. He did most of his own stunts for those movies as well. Super big, very proud moment in his career. He was ranked as one of the world's most bankable actors in 2007 and 2010, and is also one of the highest grossing actors of all time. He's won an Academy Award along with 2 Golden Globes and 7 Primetime Emmys. Throughout the course of Matt's career, he's been in at least 81 different movies. If you take into account when he started and like how long his career has been thus far, I want to say 35 years max. That is more than 2 or 3 movies a year. That is insane. That is such an incredible drive, like an incredible work ethic. It just goes to show how truly committed he is to his craft and his career. Now, he has a net worth of around $55 million, and that kind of surprised me just a little bit. I was really expecting that number to be so much higher, especially considering how successful the Bourne trilogy was. I think maybe he'd get a little bit of kickback from that. However, after I went down the wormhole and tried to figure out why his net worth was so low, I say $55 million, like it's not a butt ton of money. $55 million is definitely not something to like shake your head at, but I just assumed it'd be closer to like 250, 150, somewhere in that ballpark. Throughout his career, Matt has really been able to steer clear of any drama or scandal. He's pretty much squeaky clean. Seems like he's on the straight and narrow. Also, seems like he makes pretty good choices when it comes to what he chooses to do and what he chooses to pass on. However, this man made a mistake that cost him $250 million. Now, James Cameron, when he was still developing Avatar, He went to Matt and he was like, listen, I want you to be the lead. And Matt turned it down. Not only did James Cameron offer Matt the lead, he also offered him, 10% of the film's box office, which was just, I don't know how he passed on it. Once he figured out what was going on and once he saw the success of the Avatar franchise, he was kicking himself in the butt for not accepting that role. But yeah, he was offered that role first and foremost before anybody else had a shot at it, and he turned it down. Now, Matt says the reason he turned Avatar down was because there was a scheduling conflict. So at that time, he was actually on set filming one of the Jason Bourne movies, and in order for him to go film Avatar, he would have had to walk away from the set that he was on earlier than was expected, which means he probably would have left production in a little bit of a lurch. And he said that his artistic integrity was much more important to him than any paycheck or any payday. So he decided to skip Avatar and really focus all of his attention on finishing the Bourne movie. Now, of course, Bourne was super successful. It was a great addition to his career. But can you imagine if he had elected to be a part of the Avatar franchise? This man would be absolutely rolling in dough. Not only did he get the lead part, but also 10% of the box office. Avatar is still, to this day, the first Avatar is one of the best selling, one of the biggest box office hits of all time. When he thinks about it, he just wants to kick his own hiney. And now it's time to get into the juicy bits of today's video, and we're going to get into the previous dating history. This is always my very favorite part of every episode. I absolutely love to see who dated who, why did they bust, what happened. But before we get into it, I do have a couple of things to say about the way this man treated women back in the day. It seems to me like he let his celebrity status, he let his ego get to his head just a little bit, and he treated a couple of women so poorly. He was a genuine douchebag, and I so wanted to reach through my notepad and kind of smack him around a little bit, just like, what is wrong with you? But we'll get there when we get there. Now, his first recorded romantic relationship happened way back in the day when he was still at Harvard University, where he decided to date a medical student named Skylar Satinstein. Now, from what I could gather, their relationship was super solid. They were together for about a year. They dated from 1988 to 1989. They were super in love, had a lot in common. From what I can gather, they were just a good couple, right? He even named a character in Good Will Hunting after Skylar. The Skylar character in the movie is played by Minnie Driver. We're going to get to her in just a minute. But they were together for a year. They eventually ended up busting because Matt decided to leave Harvard and go chase his career, go work on his career. And she decided ultimately to stay and finish her degree. So that's what they did. The breakup was fairly amicable. And Skylar actually went on to date and then marry Metallica drummer Lars Ulrich. After Skylar, it seems like Matt was single for quite a while, until 1977 when he gets cast in the film The Rainmaker. Now, in this film, Claire Danes plays his love interest, and apparently the chemistry was just as real in real life as it was on screen. And throughout the duration of production, they entered into this little on-set affair. Now, it wasn't anything super serious, and as soon as filming was over, so was their relationship. They kind of separated, went their own separate ways. Again, very amicable, no hard feelings on either side. Now, Claire, she actually went on to enter a relationship with Australian musician Benjamin Lee. That didn't last forever either. I didn't look into her too awful much, but if you'd like a video on Miss Claire Danes, all you got to do is let me know and I'll get on it. By this point, Matt's career has really taken off quite a bit. He's not a superstar yet, but definitely people know who he is, and this is when he starts working on Good Will Hunting. Now, after they finish the manuscript, production starts, casting process, that whole thing. So when he is casting for Skylar's part in the movie, he meets actress Minnie Driver. Now, Minnie comes in and she reads for the part, and for some reason, production, like the producer, doesn't like her at all. But Matt sees something in Minnie. He is like, she's absolutely perfect. And he actually ends up fighting for Minnie to get the part. Like, he really advocates for her. And in the end, she's cast as Skylar and they begin working together. Now, I'm sure we all know exactly where this is headed. But of course, the minute they get on set, the minute they start really interacting with each other, of course, Minnie falls head over heels for this man. She is young. I think she's a couple of years younger than Matt at this point. Not by too much though. But she's young, relatively naive, and she falls absolutely head over heels, just so madly, truly, deeply in love with Matt during production. And she just can't help herself. She can't help herself. He's sweet and funny and kind and super smart, and she is just all for it. So they begin to date a little bit into production and continue to date until filming ends. By this point, they've been dating for close to a year, and during this whole time, Matt is just absolutely he's letting her run away with her thoughts, right? Like, he's feeding in to this whole I love you. Like, they even were like looking for houses to move in together, that kind of thing. Like, she is thinking that everything is perfect. She is in love paradise with this man, and that he is just as in love with her as she is with him. Until she is watching Matt on one of his interviews. He is doing an interview with somebody, and the interviewer asks him what his relationship status is. And he looks right at this interviewer, he looks right at the camera, and he says, "I'm single." Now, of course, this is news to Minnie, because from what she knows, they're in a committed, very loving relationship. And then for him to go on national television and tell the world that he's single, he basically broke up with her on national television. I just think that it is such a crappy thing to do. I just don't understand why he thought that that was okay. Like, it would be different if he broke up with her in person, said, "Listen, this was super fun. I really enjoyed spending time with you, but I just don't have time to be in a relationship," blah, blah, blah. Whatever excuse he wanted to come up with, anything would have been better than breaking up with her on national television. And of course, Minnie absolutely is heartbroken. She absolutely spirals. But also, what is even worse than all of this is the fact that they still have to do the press tour for the movie. So it's not like she just doesn't have to see him ever again. She then has to go to work and see this man every single day. She has to interact with him like nothing is wrong. She has to smile and pretty much pretend that her heart isn't broken in 1,000 teeny tiny little pieces. This is why I say I think Matt really let the attention and all of the, he let his ego get in the way, because I don't think that's actually who he is as a person. I just think he made a really crappy choice, a really crappy decision, and I don't know. Again, he never really apologized to Minnie about it. He just kind of acted like it never happened. And then, just to rub salt in the wound, when they go to the award ceremony, because again, Good Will Hunting got nominated for like 9 Oscars or Emmys, something like that. So they're going to a ton of award ceremonies. And what does this man do? But he rolls up to the award ceremony with another woman on his arm. Like, they haven't even been broken up for like a couple of weeks by this point, and he's already walking around with another girlfriend. She is just absolutely grief stricken. And then of course she has to sit through each and every award ceremony. She's got a bunch of cameras on her face, and she just has to sit there and suck it up. And not only that, but word kind of got out that he broke up with her in that interview. So of course, everybody wants the drama. So cameras are trained on her face anytime Matt's name is mentioned, just hoping that they're going to catch her, like, cry or something like that. And I will say props to Minnie, because she really handled herself with so much grace. She didn't show anything. She kept herself regal. She kept just dignity. She kept her dignity and didn't let it get to her. But she said later on in interviews that it destroyed her. And it took her a very long time to come back from that. And I couldn't even imagine. I couldn't even imagine the pain that she must have been in. And it kind of makes me really dislike Matt in a very big way. Like, I genuinely don't understand in what universe he thought it was going to be okay to break up with her like that, or it just wasn't a decent thing to do. It just seems unnecessarily hurtful and unnecessarily cruel. Just seems like a really evil thing to do, but just my heart goes out to Minnie. She handled herself with such class and such dignity. And of course, she went on and she found her Prince Charming. It took her quite a while, but she eventually found her happily ever after. And so you might be wondering, well, who did Matt show up to the award ceremony with? Who was the hoe on his arm? Well, ladies and gentlemen, it was none other than Miss Winona Ryder. Now, I had no idea that they had even dated in the first place, but apparently they did, and they dated for quite a while. So at the time of Good Will Hunting, Matt and Ben are still living together, and Ben is dating Gwyneth Paltrow. Gwyneth Paltrow's bestie was Winona Ryder, so Matt was introduced to Winona through Ben and Gwyneth. Now they all, this little foursome, they get together, they're vibing, they all have really great chemistry, and the minute Matt meets Winona, he just instantly, the attraction is there, it is intense, and it is undeniable, and very shortly after meeting is when they begin their affair. Matt was introduced to Winona in December of 1997. He didn't break up with Minnie until January of that next year. So I'm just saying, I think there's a little bit of overlap. I do think that he cheated on Minnie with Winona, which is why he broke up with her the way that he did. I think that he was too much of a coward, or he just knew that he had really done her wrong and didn't want to face it. So instead of breaking up with her in person, he did it in the least confrontational way that he could think of. I do think it was very cowardly. I do think it was it was a bad choice, and it hurt her so much more than was necessary. But at that point, he's definitely not taking Minnie's feelings into account. He is going solely on what he feels like and what feels good to him. And at that point, that was Winona. Winona shows up to the pre-Oscar party on Matt's arm in March of 1998, and that is when they kind of come out publicly as a couple. Now, they continue to date, and actually, Winona ends up being Matt's longest relationship up to that point. Before him, he had been in long-term relationships, but nothing had really lasted longer than like 11 or 12 months. And when it comes to Winona, they were together for, I want to say, almost 2.5 years. From the time that Matt and Winona went public to the time that they broke up, the media absolutely ate them up because there was so much drama surrounding their relationship, you know, with the way that he had broken up with Minnie, all of that stuff. They were just very, very interested in them as a couple. And that puts a lot of stress on a relationship. Now, to top that off, it seems like their relationship was pretty volatile and a little bit toxic. It seems like they were on again, off again, and couldn't really get it figured out. They would break up just to make up again a week later, and I'm sure all of that got pretty tiring after a while. It's just a lot of drama, and especially when you're trying to build a career and you've got all that other stuff going on, being in a toxic relationship, even if you're not a celebrity and under intense media scrutiny, it's not fun. So with all of that added to it, it's just got to be kind of miserable. They managed to date for about 2 years. Their last public appearance as a couple was on the red carpet at the Golden Globe Awards in January of 2000, where they were photographed kissing and being very like cuddly and canoodly in public. But again, it was the last time they were seen together in public as a couple. Matt wasted no time at all moving on from her. He broke up with her just about a month later, and then after that moved swiftly in to romance number 5. Now, romance number 5 has never been publicly confirmed. However, there have been multiple rumors, and I saw it mentioned in multiple different articles, so I'm just going to go ahead and mention it. Now, that in 2000, Matt got cast in the movie All the Pretty Horses. Now, he co-starred alongside Penelope Cruz. Now, guys, again, it's not been confirmed. I really couldn't find a lot of information about them together, but there were a couple of interviews that they did together where Matt is just sitting there blushing. He is bright red the entire time, while Penelope sits there and just absolutely just talks about how great he is and how fantastic of an actor and how there are no flaws, that kind of thing. Like, he's genuinely perfect. She's talking this man up, and he's sitting there eating every word of it. Now, again, I don't think that their relationship was anything very serious. I think that it was an infatuation. I think that it was passionate and hot and heavy. But when they lost that proximity, when they lost like having to be on set together every day, they kind of lost interest and they kind of eventually separated. We all know that Penelope Cruz went on to marry Javier Bardem. I have wanted to do them for the longest time, because I love them as a couple. However, finding information about them is like, it's like pulling teeth, because they're such private people. I don't even think I could get enough information to do like a 10-minute video. That's how little info there is of them out there, but I just absolutely love them as a couple. They're perfect. But she had a couple of months where she was all about Mr. Matt Damon. Now, at this time, there was also a rumor that Matt was dating a politician by the name of Kara Sands. And again, I couldn't find a lot of information about that at all. I do know that she is a politician. She's she's a county clerk in Texas, and she's very, very pretty. But again, there's no pictures of them together. There's no substantiating evidence. There's no articles to read. So I'm just going to mention her name, and then we're going to move on. Now, after Kara, after the press tour, and he's done with Penelope and he's done with Miss Sands, he takes just a little bit, and he's just going to take a step back, and he's just going to be single, right? He's done with women for a second, so he thinks, and he's just going to be single. That is not what happens at all. Relationship number 7 was Matt's second relationship to make it past the 1-year mark. Again, 1 year seems to be kind of the curse for Matt up to this point. He made it to 2 with Winona, but again, on again, off again, so I don't know if that really counts. But when he meets Odessa Whitmore, his life gets turned upside down. And funnily enough, he again meets Odessa through Ben. So of course he had met Winona through Ben's girlfriend, Gwyneth Paltrow. Now this other lady, he again meets through Ben Affleck, but this time she's his personal assistant, and Matt is just like, he's all about it. First of all, can we take a minute for these Shop Miss A? These are the Shop Miss A Petal Pop duos. So you have a cream on one side and a powder on the other. And I just kind of like tap my finger in there. They are so stupidly pigmented. I freaking love these so much. Look at that color. This is in the shade Flower. Guys, these are $1.55. They're $1.55. You get a cream and a powder blush, and they're delightful. I love all of the colors. I think I have pretty much all of them at this point, and look how pigmented they are. I'm just completely and totally in love with this color. So good. Anyway, moving on. Miss Odessa Whitmore becomes big long-term relationship number 2. They got so serious that there were rumors of engagements and buying houses together, all of that. And it all started with Ben introducing Odessa to Will as his personal assistant. Now, by this point, Ben has moved on from Gwyneth, and this is the Bennifer era, right? So he is now squarely in a committed relationship with Miss Jennifer Lopez, and J-Lo does not like Odessa. J-Lo is like, how dare you have a female personal assistant? That is so disrespectful. And she actually ends up making Ben fire Odessa. Now, by this time, she's already in a relationship with Will, so she just kind of like scraps that and moves in with Will. And this is when their relationship really kind of intensifies, and this is when the rumors of them going out and looking for houses and stuff together, that is when the rumor mill really starts to go in and things kind of get out of hand a little bit. So I think one of Matt's biggest issues is that he is a commitment-phobe, right? He is terrified of commitment. He's terrified of marriage. I believe that is why most of his relationships just don't work out, because he refuses to take that next step. And then when things start to get too serious, he kind of chickens out, he gets cold feet, and he turns tail and runs the other way. And the exact same thing happened with Odessa. Matt ends up getting cast in The Brothers Grimm opposite Heath Ledger and has to go film on location in Prague. So he hops on a plane, and by the time he gets to Prague, he realizes what he needs to do. Once there was a little bit of distance between him and Odessa, the brain fog kind of clears a little bit, and he realizes that she just isn't the one. The thought of marrying her should not put him into a panic, and the engagement rumors, they really bothered him. He had to figure out why they were actually bothering him as bad as they were, and it's just because he knew she wasn't the one. The thought of marrying her, if she was the right person for him, he should be jumping for joy. He should be elated. And instead he's sitting there panicking, trying to figure out how to not have to do that, right? So again, Odessa had stayed in New York. She was working on a clothing line at the time, and all of a sudden she gets a phone call from Matt. She's excited, right? She thinks all is right with her world. Everything is going exactly the way that she wants it to. She is in a loving, fulfilling relationship. She's about to get engaged. Like, life is looking up, right? Well, she gets that phone call from Matt, and he's like, listen, I can't do this anymore. And of course, her world crashes and burns, and Matt just kind of gets set free. So what's great for him is awful for her. And of course, he did it in the worst way possible. Again, did it over the phone. He didn't do it in person. Just really, really bad. He's just really bad at breaking up with people, just in general. So that's definitely something he should have worked on. But I digress. He calls, he breaks things off, and again, he's single again, right? So he goes, he films The Brothers Grimm, and he stays single for a little while. He just is kind of going to take a step back, really reevaluate what he wants and what direction he wants to take his life in, because he wants to be married. Like, it's not that he doesn't want to be married or he doesn't want to be in a relationship. It's that he doesn't want to commit to the wrong person. And that's what's so scary about the entire thing. He's 33, right? Like, he thought he was going to be married with kids by the time he was 30, and that just hasn't happened. His brother Kyle has been married since he was 26. He's already got a wife and kids, and he wants the same thing for himself. However, he's not going to settle for anything less than perfection, and for that perfection, he is willing to wait. After Matt finishes filming for The Brothers Grimm, he then goes right into his next project, which was Stuck on You, I believe. He plays a conjoined twin, that kind of thing. It's a comedy. He goes right in to his next project. Instead of focusing on his personal life, he is focusing on his professional life, because got to put all of that energy somewhere, so might as well make money while he's doing it, right? So he goes, he starts filming Stuck on You, and as he's filming, rumors start to swirl, right? So rumors start getting around that he's messing around with not one, but two of his co-stars. First off, we have Eva Mendes. We all know Miss Eva Mendes. She is married to the very dreamy Mr. Ryan Gosling. Absolutely stunning woman, right? But again, rumors start to swirl. You can't believe everything you hear. I think that the tabloids were just looking to stir up some drama because they found out that him and Odessa had broken up. However, none of that has ever been confirmed. Neither one of them have ever said anything about it. So I'm going to assume that one is false. But there were also rumors that he had an affair with a different co-star named Rona Mitra. Now, if you don't know who Rona is, she was in Underworld. She is absolutely stunning. Just beautiful, beautiful lady. They had an affair, 2-3 week affair, not very long at all. I do think he was just trying to rebound. I think he was lonely, and you know how it goes, right? So they have a little on-set kind of flingaroony. After that ends, he's just like, I am so done. And this is when his epiphany strikes. This is when he's like, I'm not going to date celebrities anymore. He realizes that dating celebrities, or even people who are celebrity adjacent, it just amplifies everything he dislikes about his job title, right? Everything he dislikes about being famous or being in Hollywood, being with another celebrity just makes it all a million times worse. So he decides he is done dating celebrities. He's not going to do it. If and when he ever dates again, it is going to be a normal person. And on top of that, he's done looking. He's done looking. He's done trying. He's just going to throw his hands up and let Jesus take the wheel. And we all know how fate works. The very minute you throw up your hands and say, I'm done, she offers everything you want on a silver platter. And that is exactly what happens to Matt. Right around the corner, he has no idea what's coming, but his world is about to get flipped upside down, and Luciana is the one to do it. In mid-2003, Matt gets cast in the film Stuck on You and hops on a plane to go film down in Miami, Florida. Now, the minute he touches down in Miami, he stops being in control of his fate at all. He's basically on autopilot and has no idea that all of his wildest dreams are about to come true. Cut to, they've been filming for a little while. Matt is getting along famously with all of his co-stars. The entire cast is fabulous. And one night after they wrap for the day, they decide to go out to a bar and get a couple of drinks. Matt's like, you know what? I'll go. Let's go have a good time. And so they all load up and head to the bar. Now, the minute they get to the bar, it's packed. The vibe is fantastic. And Matt is like, tonight's going to be a great night. Now, he's Matt Damon, and he is very recognizable at this point. So he's like, I'm just going to keep a low profile. I'm just going to sit in the corner, and I'm not going to call any attention to myself. I'm just going to enjoy. I'm just going to people watch, and I'm going to enjoy. Now, the minute he walks in the door, the first thing that catches his eye is the most amazingly beautiful woman he has ever seen behind the bar. She's mixing up drinks and flinging stuff like it's freaking cocktails, right? Like, she is going at it. She is 100% just in her element, and she's a goddess, right? Matt starts to drool a little bit. He's got to pick his jaw up off of the floor. But again, he doesn't want to risk it. He doesn't want to get recognized. So he's just like, you know what? She's beautiful. Maybe I'll talk to her. Maybe I won't. Because remember, at this point, he's thrown up his hands. He's done looking for love. He's just going to focus on his career. So he goes and he sits down and enjoys the rest of his evening. Once Matt is a couple of drinks in, his mood really starts to lighten up quite a bit. He starts to kind of really enjoy himself. And because of that, he starts drawing just a little bit more attention to himself than he had intended. And people start to recognize him. People start coming up to him, asking him for pictures. They're asking him for autographs. And of course, he's not going to be rude, but that is so not what he wanted tonight to be. He just wanted to be able to sit back, relax, and enjoy himself. And it's just not possible, especially not when you're a celebrity. So people are starting to drink. The alcohol is flowing, and the more people drink, the tipsier they get, and the more aggressive they become. So instead of people being like, oh man, can I get an autograph? People are shoving napkins in his face. People are just starting to be very aggressive, and he's over it. Matt begins to try to find somewhere to hide. He is looking for a hiding place, and unfortunately, in a very packed bar, a crowded bar, there really aren't that many hiding places to be found. He's scanning the room, and his eyes land on the bar. And nobody can go, that's just employee only kind of thing. Like, behind the bar, people are safe. And he's like, that's where I need to be. So he beelines it straight for the bar, not even really remembering that the beautiful lady he couldn't take his eyes off earlier is behind the bar too. So he's running for his life towards the bar, jumps over the bar, ducks behind it, and is like, I just need to hide for a minute. Luciana is sitting here like, am I in the Twilight Zone? She just watched Matt Damon run and jump over her bar and is now hiding behind it, asking her to save him. And she's like, what? She's like, she's kind of flabbergasted. But of course, she's cool on her feet. She's like cool, calm, and collected. And she starts just instantly just doing her thing. She is slinging drinks. She's telling people to back off. Like, she's basically being Matt's security guard at the moment. Now, after everything kind of settles down, people kind of go back to what they're doing. And it's not so much a mob situation. Matt can kind of take a little bit of a deep breath and relax a little bit more. And they begin to kind of strike up a little bit of a conversation. And of course, Matt, now that he's not trying to hide, gets to sit back and kind of appreciate the fact that he found a way to talk to the very pretty lady behind the bar. And she is everything he could have asked for and more. She is completely and totally unimpressed that he's a celebrity. She really could care less. And it's not like she pretended to not know who he was, because of course it's Matt Damon. She knows exactly who he is, but she just doesn't care. So they're sitting there having a conversation just like two people. And it's been a hot minute since Matt's been able to enjoy a conversation like that. And y'all, I feel like this boy was in love 10 minutes into the conversation. I feel like he knew this was going to be his wife before she even thought like, oh, he's cute. You know what I mean? He was already making plans and like naming their future children. So who exactly is the woman behind the bar? Her name is Luciana Barroso. She is a 27-year-old single mother from Argentina, and she is a spitfire. She is full of Latin fire and sass, and she is exactly what Matt has been searching for. She is exactly what Matt didn't know he needed. So as the night progresses, she's like, are you just going to stand there, or are you going to earn your keep? So she puts Matt to work. Now, luckily for Matt, a couple of years ago, he had trained to be a bartender for one of his previous roles, and all of that knowledge just kind of came back to him. So he's sitting there making cocktails. They're having an absolute blast. And of course, people are wanting to see him. So everybody's coming up to the bar, ordering drinks. And Luciana, she's making a butt ton of tips because everybody's just super happy. They can't believe that they're being served drinks by Matt Damon. So the tip jar is just filling itself over and over and over again. And she is just absolutely loving it, right? She's a single mom. Every penny helps. By the end of the night, everybody is exhausted, but Matt has had the absolute time of his life. It has been so long since he's been able to just relax and have a normal conversation with somebody. And y'all, he's already fully infatuated with this woman. She is just acting cool as a cucumber. He can definitely tell that she's interested, but she's not being weird. She's not treating him like he's special. And that is like the best thing ever for him. He just wants a normal relationship, and he sees that happening with her. So by the end of the night, it's time for him to leave, and he doesn't want to leave without knowing for sure that he's going to be able to see her again. So he invites her out a couple of days from now. He's like, listen, do you want to come hang out with me and my friends? We'll go have some fun. And she's like, nah, I'm good. Thanks though. He's like, what? And she's like, I'm a single mom. I have a 4-year-old at home, and that is where I want to be. Like, I'm not interested in going out and partying. That's just not my scene. And, you know, you would think Matt be kind of disappointed, but no, the fact that she is a single mother does nothing but amp him up even more, because she, like, her priorities, like, he loves that she would rather be at home with her daughter than out partying with him and, you know, his celebrity friends. Like, it just shows him that her heart and her priorities are exactly in the right place. So he jumps on it. He's like, I don't care what we do. I'll come over and I'll cook you dinner. I just have to see you again. So before Matt leaves, they exchange numbers and they continue to talk for the next couple of weeks. They're talking every single night. They're on the phone. They're giggling. They're laughing. And Matt knows that this is my person. And before you know it, they're dating. And after that, everything is just kind of like a blur, right? When you know it's right, and things went pretty quickly thereafter. For the next 2 years, they dated and fell madly, truly, deeply in love with each other. And at this point, Matt knows this is his person. This is the woman that he's going to spend the rest of his life with, and he has zero doubt that she is the right choice. So much so that he goes to his mother and he asks his mother for his great-grandmother's ring. Now, this ring had been passed down from his great-grandmother to his grandmother to his mother and then down to him. Now, his great-grandparents had been married for 60 years. And that kind of longevity was exactly what he was looking for and hoping for with Luciana. So he takes the ring. The ring it's not expensive at all. It has 3 very, very tiny, very low quality diamonds in it, but it's the symbolism that really matters to him. So he takes the ring, he takes the diamonds out of the ring, and he fashions 2 rings, and in each ring, he puts 3 of those teeny tiny little diamonds. And that way they're kind of like their good luck charms, and hopefully their marriage will last 60 years like his great-grandparents did. Matt ended up proposing to Lucy in September of 2005. 3 months after he proposed, they got married in a very small, very private, tiny, almost kind of like courthouse ceremony. While Lucy's daughter watched on, there were just like maybe 3 or 4 people in the room, and it was super intimate, very, very private. It was just for them, and it was exactly what they wanted. They began building and expanding their family almost immediately after they said I do. By 2006, they were already welcoming their first bundle of joy, a daughter that they named Isabella. 2 years after that, they welcomed Gia in 2008, and then finally in 2010, they welcomed Stella. Now in total, they have 4 children. So they have Lucy's daughter from her first marriage. Her name is Alexia, and I tell you what, Matt loves that little girl just as much as he loves all of his others. He's been there since she was 4 years old. She is definitely a part of the family and very, very loved. And then they have the 3 daughters that they had together. All in all, they are an incredibly happy little family, and Matt is like beyond words thankful that he finally got everything he ever wished for. Their first initial wedding ceremony had been teeny tiny and very, very private, but 8 years after they got married, they decided it might be time to do something just a tiny bit fancier. And that's exactly what they did. 8 years after they said I do for the first time, they had a recommitment ceremony, and it was absolutely stunning. They renewed their vows in 2013 on the island of St. Lucia in front of about 50 guests, including their children and, of course, Matt's lifelong bestie, Mr. Ben Affleck, and his wife at the time, Jennifer Gardner. After the recommitment ceremony, Matt ended up going out and getting all 4 of his daughters' names tattooed on his upper right arm. He also got his wife's signature. He calls her Lucy, which I absolutely adore. He got all of his girls' names tattooed on his upper arm. I'll pop up a picture of it. A very, very cute tattoo. You can tell there's a lot of like meaning behind it, and you can tell just how much he really does love the women in his life. If you're wondering if Alexia's biological father is in her life, he most certainly is. He is not a super involved part of the process, but he is involved, and he's gone on record and said a million times that Matt is the biggest blessing he could have ever asked for his daughter. He has said a million times that Matt treats Alexia like she is his flesh and blood, and he couldn't have asked for a better stepfather for her. The media has been chasing after this man. I think his name is Arbello, something like that. They've been chasing after this man for decades, trying to get him to kind of spill the tea on Matt and Luciana, and he just won't do it. There is absolutely nothing for him to say. There is no tea to spill. He says Matt is the perfect stepfather, and he's just grateful that that Matt loves his daughter like she's his own. Matt and his family very much keep to themselves. They are about as plain old boring vanilla as you can possibly get. They'll be celebrating their 22nd wedding anniversary come December, and I am so incredibly happy that Matt finally found what he was looking so very hard for. Guys, I love you so very much. I hope you enjoyed today's video just as much as I did. This is today's finished look. What do we think? Do we like it? Do we love it? Let me know in the comments below. If you did enjoy today's video, please don't forget to give it a big old thumbs up before you leave. As always, no filters, no fancy lighting. It is just me sitting in front of my camera telling you guys an epic love story. Hoping you guys are enjoying what I'm doing. I love you so very much. And until next time, stay safe, take care of yourselves, and remember, you're important. Bye.